Hey everybody, Mark again, Weatherman Plus. How y'all doing today? God bless all of you and the newcomers. Welcome. We welcome everybody. God bless you as well. These investors that we have going on. I've did my investigation. I've seen y'all on the internet with all the anxiety going on. I can feel y'all anxiety from talking with y'all. I can feel you. Let me tell you, I don't think we have much to worry about. Let me show you why. This here is your 850 millibar winds. This is different than the 500 millibar winds. It's still a constant pressure, a constant level of pressure, but it's at the 850 millibar level. This is okay. The 500 is where you look at the very top of the cells. That's about 15,000 feet in the air. That way you can see where the different pressure is, and you can follow the cells a lot easier. It's kind of like an echo top almost. The 850 is looking in between the 10 meters and the 500. The only thing that's below the 500 would be like the jet stream would be 300. It all depends. Now the 850 we can see the power before it hits the ground, so you really can see the storm move. If it's not a system that is getting a center and it's not getting localized and being called a storm, that means it's like a tornado with a funnel that's not hitting the ground. They just don't want to call it yet, but still there's a funnel, so you got to watch that thing. But still, this is the same thing. This is all the power it has up above. Now, as you can see, it does look like it does stay over San Juan, San Juan, Puerto Rico, and it does have tropical storm strength in his dark orange. Tropical depression will be in a lighter orange, but it looks like it does stay north of that. It gets a little powerful right before it with the pinks, which gets you in the high 50s to the low 50s. It depends if it's dark or not. But the tail whip don't look like it was all that serious, but it does hit a little bit in the low 30s. That's what that's going to be. Yep. So that's a good thing. That's real good news. It does, but then again, let's get on to where it gets strong again, because you already see the first one, 97L, is already in the 50s with the red. So as this moves over, let's take another look at that one. It stays rumbling with some noise going on up there, and it wants to do something. It looks like it heads straight for the Miami area so far. This is subject to change, guys. You remember last time the other one was headed for Miami, and it actually went further east, and it just skinned it. It got hit with a rain band after, but it didn't do a direct hit as it looked like it was doing on other models. Now, as it soaks up into Florida, it looks like it's going to get the impact of that one. The other one heads straight for Houston, it looks like. Houston, Texas. And it looks like it's tropical storm strength right there. But this is not at the 10 millibars where it's going to be the impact. It's just following the storm system. Now, as it goes through and it rips the country from the inside and heads to the east coast, this is the winds I was trying to refer you to. Before these two down here hit, we have some storms moving across, and they bring us some heavy winds. And then when these winds come, it's going to be a big bunch of right there, bam. You got 50s, you got 60s, even a little dap of 70 in that purple. So it's going to be a bad band of thunderstorms that's going to be moving through soon. So keep your mind on that as well. And here again is the 98L. 97 already hit. It already impacted. It didn't do much of nothing what it shows so far at this high of a level. The 98 goes in, it grabs a tail whip of those storms, and that's what pulls it out, like I said, but it does strengthen on the way out. Look at that. Immediately, it strengthens on the way out. There's a patch of a purple right there, which will be 70. It is a light purple. That looks a little bit darker right there, but again, this is just the 850 millibar level. But it does strengthen as it leaves and goes away. So I don't show that would be much of an impact. You would more have to worry about these thunderstorms with these damaging winds that's going to be moving through. Now, the 850 millibar level is where I like to see where the storms are. Because if these storms, just like a tornado, if it's rain wrapped, you can't see it. There's certain things you have to do to see that. That's what I do with storms. If they can't get a name for it because they don't have a center, they don't have a formation, I go look up into the 5,000 feet. That's where the 850 millibars is. I don't go way up to the 15,000. And you can see it and find it at the 5,000 feet. Now, all this is one big storm that broke off into two cells. That's what it comes down to. But after that, that big boom that happens. When those go in, you already seen what happens with those. That big boom comes, it shoots another one over here. It looks like that shot south. But there's a big boom that comes across. Boom, a lot of energy, right? And if you look how big this wrap is, you can actually see three pieces. So it could be multiple cells that pop out of this. It could just be two. It could form up to just one, is what I showed it tried doing. But it does look like, once again, we having bad winds going across the country. So we got to watch out for storms next week. It's really going to be an issue. Or at the end of this week. So as those roll through, the next section that comes through, you see the big boom shoot them down. And then we got this big cloud of precipitation and wind and storm cells that are ready to fight, and they coming across. Now I do show there is a moment where it does get together in the Gulf over here, where it all just soaks together, and then it don't know what it wants to do after that, and then it forms again. There's a moment right there. See if I can catch it. And this is the 850. This is the big that we saw after the two hit when we did the 10 meters with the pink winds. But it does group back together after it gets on land. So it is going to be an issue with winds over in that area. I think Texas is going to have a real rough weekend. But as you can look after that, here's another one right here on its way. Here's another one right here on its way. So it's literally going to be about every 3 days. Now, if we look at the Cape, just if you remember from yesterday, the convective available potential energy, we'll see that these storms, as we're watching them move through, it's pretty much this area and the one down here, that they don't have a lot of energy going with them. I mean, they get spikes of moments, and so there's going to be some lightning with these storms. There's going to be some flash flooding if it was over land. But this is over water, and if you notice, as the impact comes, it all gets very weak. You don't see a lot of white on land. You don't see none of that. So I don't see these storms becoming a much of anything. The only thing I show is that big problem that we have after these two. It could probably produce one of these cells, like this cell down here that comes after, which would be either Nana or Omar. It all depends what happens out of all these little cells passing now. The explosion that happens will just give it all the energy it needs to become something. So you got to watch out for that. If you remember the explosion, I explained it yesterday to you, and you can see the difference. These are the storms now. Look at this area. This is the storms that we're dealing with now, and we're so worried about them. I can feel everybody's anxiety out there. Everybody's so worried, and look at these. These are 2,500 and below, barely hitting 2,500 in some spots. But after that, look at all that energy. That's ready to do something. Now this is the 500 millibar level. This is what I like to see to find these storm cells. This is where everything has a constant pressure of 500 millibars. And you can see 97L right here, unlocalized, more localized than 98, which is over here. But this is where you can see the very, very tops of these storms. We're talking 15 to 18,000 feet, where the 850 millibar level was only 5,000 feet. Now, Puerto Rico, it looks like you get a little bit of a northerly and a southerly from this. It's not localized, so this is not your impact, so don't freak out when you see this. It's the very tops. And if you remember, the 10-meter winds we looked at showed that you only had 20s, and the rest of it was off water, which means this thing's just like the hurricane that we had previously that hit the East Coast, is, because it's lopsided. It's not formed up, it's just lopsided. And then it looks like it downgrades pretty good for a moment there when it hits those mountains. So I'm glad for that. Now, on a 10-meter winds, we can really see what the damage and impact will be of the storms. Now, as we follow them through, you'll see that the white, the pink, this is all a big flare-up. It's all the way to 30s. This is 10 meters above sea level. But what I don't understand is the hurricane / storms that we just had. They had warnings put out for Puerto Rico and such places, and it didn't form yet. And this isn't forming, so they're not ready to give it a name yet. But you can clearly see that there is a strong piece center to it. It does weaken as it goes towards Puerto Rico, so that's a good thing. But now, will it stay this strength? Well, we really don't know. But it does show it is in the 30s, so I don't show a lot of impact going on there. But let's zoom in just to make sure, and we're going to follow each one of these to see what happens. I do show it will affect the East Coast as well from the inside. I'll show you what I mean before that. Now here's your storm moving in Puerto Rico. This is around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it looks like it's on a northern push as far as the damage factor goes. You get wrapped up in the end of it when it leaves. Those look like 20s. Yep, those are in the 20s. So I don't see any hurricane force coming to you. However, be very careful because this is subject to change. It's still a few days away, but it's pretty close enough to get a good picture of what's going on. At least we don't see strengthening. I mean, even the strongest part of this thing, if it was to go straight over you, would only be in the low 30s. So that's a good thing. They show their spaghetti chances. I can tell you right now, listen right here, going to Florida, I know y'all see that. That's not an opportunity. Trust me, it's not going that way. If you look at it, you'll see it drop south after it goes past Puerto Rico. See? And it hits the edge and scoots into the Gulf. Now, what this is going to do is come in and then explode out. And that's what it shows so far. I still show this one, which is obvious. Tropical storm. Damaging winds at 10 meters. So it's still roaring, but it's still going towards Texas. Now, as this goes towards Florida and this goes towards Texas, you can watch it after the impact. You'll see it explode out over here on the East Coast. And I'm going to show you a different level where you can see the cells pass through. Now, the strongest it gets seems right about around there, which is not even tropical storm strength. It's in the low 30s, so I wouldn't worry about this becoming a hurricane yet. But I did show that it does get to hurricane almost force winds when it gets big enough. On the 10-meter level, it gets back up to a tropical storm. So this is definitely going to be a storm, but it's going to leave before it dies down again. But it does do an impact from the inside for y'all and explodes out. Also, I'll show Genevieve. I know I have somebody from Monterey that's want to know the information. As you see, Genevieve will get up to 100 and was it 60, 161 max winds is what's expected, and then it's going to de-rapid intensify very quickly because most of these Cat 4s that do rapid intensification, usually they burn themselves out quickly as well because the eye gets way too big for itself and it just don't cover all that land. Now, as far as the second one that goes towards Texas, we'll see it does mash up a little bit right there with Mexico. That is seen, and it does show that it will be a tropical storm when it does that. I'm not showing hurricane levels on the 10-meter run, so that's a good thing. I'm still not showing hurricane levels when it gets close. So it looks like it either weakens or it danced around too much with the first cell because these two are intermingling so much that it still can vary from day to day, but still shows tropical storm by the time it gets into the Gulf. So we will see if that does any rapid intensification. We all know how that Gulf of Mexico rolls. So, and there's that other wave. There's the wave I showed you before, the big boom that came off of Africa, and you can watch it follow itself in, and that's what's coming next. So here's what we have. As of now, you'll see them both move through. It looks like it goes northerly over San Juan. It does hit the edge of Mexico over there. Both of them turns tropical storm strength. The one that goes over San Juan, which is 98L, it will get weak quickly as it moves across. It gets a little bit of strength right there, a little pocket, a little bit, as the other one heads towards Texas and Mexico. It looks like they both weaken up very much so on impact. And this is 10-meter wind, so we're looking at in the high 20s. So that's a good thing. It's not even a tropical storm, a tropical depression at that point. This thing could really, maybe the prayers did it, guys, because I'm telling you, I've been praying, and some guys in the comments have been praying about this thing to just fizzle out. And look at it. It fizzles out. It goes down. The little blues, or you can see the chart, they're barely in the teens. And then the pink, which starts getting into the 20s, don't come back until after it goes across Florida. And it looks like this one does go towards Tallahassee. So after it goes towards Tallahassee, Panama City, where it always goes to, it will flow across. It'll lose the 20s, and then when it gets back to the other side, it gets right back intensifying again. And then from the point that it goes from right here, right outside of South Carolina, North Carolina, and it moves up here, it gets very intensified. I'll show you on another chart how that just gets a little crazy, and it gets crazy immediately. And it goes right back to a tropical storm. And I don't show that it's going to hug through, because we have a very, I know one of your questions, is this going to turn back in? Is this going to hug in? No, it's not. I'll show you some winds that are moving through our country on the very top of it. And it's actually going to be some wind gusts of 50 up to 60 in some large area. And it's going to be a storm that's going to be moving through right before these storms hit. And when this storm moves through, it's going to pull it and carry it out. Bursting up and going out with it. So I don't show that that will be a problem. Now, as you watch 97 go into Gulf, you see it expands out. It's the same way it looked as before. It's looking a little different on track and path, but the same thing it did before. It exploded out like it can't get together. And they are literally side by side at this moment, because 97L slowed down and 98 speeds up. And then when it hits, it rolls around by Texas, rolls around by Louisiana, and comes back over Florida. Both of them. Get a little center point on lower Florida. And then it goes through Louisiana again on its tail. That's it. I'm not showing a hurricane from that. And like I said, I'd be more worried about these storms that we're going to be having soon with 50 to 60 miles per hour wind gusts that's going to be coming across with these cells. So this is going to be some problems we're going to have up here as well at the same time. Matter of fact, it's going to come right before, and the winds are going to carry it out. But as far as 97L hitting Texas, I'm not showing that cell going there. I'm showing it hitting an edge over by Houston a little bit. It could be some flash flooding. Could be some damage in winds. We got to check the winds. I'm not showing that it was too strong. It got hurt. It got tropical storm strength and weakened as it got closer. But then it's going to dance back and go back over Louisiana. It's not even going to impact land in Texas. It's going to hit Louisiana and go across Florida and go back out. So that's pretty much what's going to happen with that cell. And it's going to be carried out when 98L goes across Florida. It's going to be strong from them when it hits, and then it's going to get carried out as well from the winds and the thunderstorms that we were having in the north and northeast. So it's all going to get sucked out, but it is going to go across while it hits land. It could be a lot of flash flooding, some damaging winds. It depends. We got to see how much power has left. I'm not showing it has too much left to it. But as it goes across Florida and it goes across Georgia and South Carolina, it could be some repercussions of this, because it is still a few days out. I mean, this isn't tomorrow morning's forecast, so we need to keep our eye on that, because I'm showing pieces of these storms up here. The storm up here that we're having in the north and northeast could easily move these two around. So we have to see exactly what's going on with that. Probably tomorrow morning would be a way better track. Now, of course, I will keep you updated daily on these storms. We definitely need to watch this season. I think it's definitely going to be a tricky one. So I'm definitely going to keep my eyes open for you guys day and night. I don't go to bed late. That reminds me, I like to share a little something special with me. A lot of y'all share some special things in the comments, and I appreciate y'all for it. And just let you know, blessings happen every day, man. I was doing bad with my family, as far as needing things like food and such around the house, because y'all know my story. Not getting unemployment, not getting anything. I'm not asking you for anything. I'm just sharing a point, so don't spoil its meaning. So I asked my nephew, which is someone younger than me. He's just starting his life. He has a family. He has kids. He has a pregnant wife. I said, "Can you loan me $50 until I get my money? I will gladly pay you back. I appreciate you so much for helping." Without even thinking, yes, I got you. Okay, thank you. When he sends me to the Western Union to get my money for the help he's given me, I mean, God just flowing through this boy. He's a man now. He sent me $250, guys. I mean, God bless him. His name is Scott. Please pray for him. He is such a good guy. that just blew our minds over here. So I just wanted to share that with y'all. Y'all share things with me. I want to let you know I'm here with you. We all have our trial and tribulations. Now, of course, having said that, Matthew 7:7. Keep on asking, and it will be given you. Keep on seeking, and you will find. Keep on knocking, and it will be open to you. For everyone asking receives, and everyone seeking finds, and to everyone knocking it will be opened. Indeed, who is the man among you whom his son asks for bread? He will not hand him a stone, will he? Or perhaps he will ask him for a fish. He will not hand him a serpent, will he? Therefore, if you allow being wicked, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more so will your Father who is in the heavens give good things to those asking him? All things, therefore, that you want men to do to you, you must likewise do to them. This, in fact, is what the law and the prophets mean. Go in through the narrow gate, because broad and spacious is a road leading off into destruction, and many are the ones going through it. Whereas narrow is the gate and cramped the road leading off into life, and few are the ones finding it. Be on the watch for the false prophets that come to you in sheep's covering, but inside they are ravenous wolves. By their fruits you recognize them. Never do people gather grapes from thorns or figs from thistles, do they? Likewise, every good tree produces fine fruit, but every rotten tree produces worthless fruit. A good tree cannot bear worthless fruit, neither can a rotten tree produce fine fruit. Every tree not producing fine fruits get cut down and thrown into fire. Really then, by their fruits, you will recognize those men. Amen. So I appreciate y'all for watching today. Let's stay safe through this. God bless us through this. Keep these people safe. They're all good, God-loving people. And I want to say thank you to my brother Scott. If he watching this, which he don't watch weather, but if he shall happen to see it, thank you for bearing good fruit, because your son helped us today. God bless you all. May you go in God's peace. You have a great night.